when we were sitting on the border of Iraq and Kuwait, again, I'm the brand new guy on the team, and I think I'm a badass, and I'm talking shit to everybody on the team because you have to. You can't show weakness. So we're sitting around a fire pit, and all the guys on the team know that I make beer and wine and stuff because they've had it.
Well, can I just ask, when did that start? I mean, when did just making it on your own start?
Like probably 5 years before we were in Kuwait, I started making beer and wine at home. Just something I wanted to try. And so we're sitting there and I'm talking shit and I'm like, man, I can make booze out of pretty much anything. And my team sergeant looks at me and he picks up an MR and he throws it at me and he goes, put up or shut up. And I'm like, well, I mean, and he goes, no, you said it, put up or shut up. So I'm like, okay. So I thought about it for a little bit and I'm like, okay, we got Skittles in the MRE. That's sugar. I said, we got this shelf-stable bread. There's got to be some yeast still in there.
Yeast in there, yeah.
That's all you need, yeast, sugar, and water.
Battle Line podcast, man, if you are someone who loves hearing war stories, you're a whiskey aficionado, this is an episode you're going to absolutely love. Andy Lang on with us, not only the owner and founder of a great distillery, also a combat veteran. We get into a whole bunch of stuff. We're recording this prior, but for all you guys coming off of Thanksgiving, hope that you enjoyed your Thanksgiving with your families. As we always say to any of you guys downrange who don't get to enjoy with your families, wishing you all the best, and hopefully you'll be able to either spend Christmas with them or you'll be back next year for Thanksgiving. But just wanted to mention that, of course. As usual, we do talk about Ned very regularly on here. And if you haven't checked it out, I did a great episode that Chris wasn't on with Rhett Taylor from Ned, where we spoke a lot about supplementation. He gives a lot of insight into different things. For example, I didn't know some of the negative aspects of taking melatonin and why Ned doesn't use melatonin. So a lot of that stuff was really interesting. Rhett really knows his stuff when it comes to supplementation, and it's no wonder he found such an amazing company. Whether you're looking for a magnesium supplement, which is top notch for your sleep, or you're looking for something for your mental health, your brain function, they have a great brain blend that you should check out. If in these winter months you're like me and you have joints and muscles lock up on you, they have the best relief balm up there. And because they've been with us so long, they hook up our listeners with a great discount if you're a first-time customer by going to helloned.com/battleline. That's helloned.com/battleline, or enter the code battleline at checkout. One word. That's HELLONED.com/battleline. With that, let's get right over to Andy Lang.
From Kansas City to New York City, from planet Earth to extraterrestrial life in space, a podcast with no equal, engaged in unconventional warfare through your speakers and headphones. This is a show about embracing the suck, conquering your demons, and finding God in the face of adversity. Chris Tonto Peranto.
Switch is on. Motherfucker, I'm gonna shoot you in the face.
Ian Scotto.
Ian and I have been dating for a long time.
You are now tuned into the Battle Line Podcast.
The Switch is on, Battle Line Podcast. We are joined by a very special guest, not only the founder of Leatherwood Distillery, also a Special Forces combat veteran. Yeah. And, we got introduced to you by a mutual colleague now, Jeremy, who works with Lee Greenwood. And he said Andy Lang. Should I call you Andy Lang? Or I know on the site it says Andrew Lang.
Yeah, definitely Andy. I've been called worse.
Andy Lang. So yeah, it's great to have you on, and I know that there are a lot of veterans in the alcohol space, in the whiskey space, and all that. Yeah, including Chris. But
Getting
you've been
there.
doing it for quite a while.
Yeah, we're just hitting 8 years this year.
Yeah, and dude, I have I been? Did you send me a bottle a while back and I was an asshole and didn't say thank you to you? Because if you did, thank you, man. Because I got the bottles a few days ago, and I told FedEx, I said that must be my alcohol, and then I like, oh shit, I shouldn't have said that to FedEx because we're not supposed to ship alcohol through FedEx. I've got in trouble for that for myself, but dude, I swear that we have done or at least cross paths, and you said we met at a book signing or something, an event, and I signed a poster
Yeah.
for you, and I want to say you gave me a bottle, and I long time ago, and I drank it. It's gone, but I've
Hey,
got some more, man. Good shit, bud.
that's why I make it. People always ask, will you sign the bottle? I said, only if you still drink it.
Still drink it. Well, that's a
That's what it's
well.
there for.
You need to. Why didn't you sign mine then? That hurts me, man. You cut
Well,
me to
that's
the
a good
bone.
point. Get up in there real quick.
Look, thank you, man. Well, it's good to have you on, man. And I don't know, Ian. Tell me if I'm wrong. Doesn't Andy look like he's related to Lee Greenwood a little bit? Doesn't it? I mean, it looks like he'd be a set.
I don't know if I'd say related, but it is cool that we kind of met you because of
Resemblance.
Lee Greenwood. Yeah, so
Yeah. I got a cool picture with Kid Rock and Lee Greenwood holding that
nice,
bottle.
Did you
nice.
One of the coolest pictures I've ever gotten. Lee, he's such a great dude.
He is
He
two
just
legends, two legends.
Yeah, and he seemed so already. I mean, 80 years old and just full of spitfire, man. It was pretty cool. I was just like, holy shit, this dude's got a lot of energy. Ian said that, like, man, you're
Yeah,
right. I thought he was, and he's like 80 something. So
82, I think. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So what are you?
I hope I'm moving that well at 82.
Oh
Need
yeah.
to, dude. Need to. Well, I want to just get into it a little bit since the first time on our show, just your backstory, and our listeners, it is a huge. It's very military supportive, veterans, patriotic listener that we have very much. So they love hearing the war stories. They love hearing that you want to talk about, and they love hearing just getting in. And I think that's the big thing. Having you on this first time is just your story joining. Because back in the day, because I dig those stories, just even basic training and what you were thinking, and then moving on to where you eventually was in Global on Terror. So start there if you could.
Yeah, so I joined 93. I did a couple years in college and didn't even want to go to the start, but 2 years in, the school was like, I think you need to find something else to do. So I went to a recruiter. I was like, hey, you know what? I want to be an airborne ranger. Let's do that. And the guy's like, of course, at that time in the 90s was like, okay, you're an idiot, but let's do that. So super simple. Went through the whole MEPS thing and went to basic training. Freaking loved it, man. I just, I knew that was what I wanted to do. And I had a really awesome drill sergeant. He was a bat boy. And he used to like make me freaking recite the Ranger Creed during basic training to get me ready for RIT. So after basic training, AIT base, it's all the same for infantry.
Yeah.
So after graduation, went to airborne school. That was kind of lame, but terrified the shit out of me, of course. And I was terrified of jumping out of planes my whole career, 26 years.
You never
so
get
go to
used to
RIT.
it. You never get used to it, man. It's just
No.
it is.
Even when I got to group, went to Halo school, they were like, oh, Halo's great. It's, you're not going to be scared. I'm like, are you crazy? I was more terrified. I was like, put me back on the static line. I don't have to think.
It's true. So true.
And by the way, it's cool
Yeah.
to hear like the honest experience to that, because I think coming from the civilian side of things, people look at what you guys do and erroneously, I would say they look at you guys as superheroes, and I think you guys look at yourself more as ordinary people who put yourselves in pretty extraordinary circumstances.
Yeah. No, I was never afraid of heights or any of that, but the second I stood in the door in a C-130, I was like, what the hell am I doing? This ain't right. But at that point, it's like, put up or shut up.
Yeah, I mean you're there. You got no choice. You got to go. You
Yeah,
got to go. You got to go.
gotta go.
You either going to go on your own accord, or somebody's going to shove you out, and you're going to be
Yeah.
spinning and dick dancing in the air. So you really don't have a choice. I got to the point where, honestly, it was so uncomfortable with the gear on that I just wanted to get out the door just so I could get. I was like, I just want to be on the ground, man. Just get me to the fucking ground. My balls are crushed. I just need
Hurts.
to get the fuck out of here. But you're no, you're right. You're right. And it's just the point where you don't, you just go because everybody else is going. So I got to go too, or they're just going to shove me out. And that's
Yeah.
just knock it out.
Yeah. So airborne school got done, and then we did the old guy showed up from RIP, freaking Ellen. At the time, it was fucking deuce and half. They show up, they're like, throw your stuff in the back of the truck, and then last guy throws his stuff, and they take off. You're like, whoa. So everybody just starts running after the truck. So we get over to the regiment, and they smoke our balls the rest of the night, and then we get into RIP, and I honestly I don't remember a lot of it. I remember sucking all the time. I think it was July.
You just put the battery. Yeah, you're just fucking blocked it all out. The trauma is just.
Yeah, it was tough, man. It sucked, but I loved it. Went all the way through, and this is a whole sob story. But I mean, I had my scroll. Like 2 days before graduation, you sew your scroll on, and you get your flash put on, and then we get out there the morning of graduation, and the senior instructor comes out, and he's like, "Guys, got some good news and some bad news." We're all like, "Oh man." He's like, well, there's 14 of you. We only got 8 slots. But the good news is we're going to do a sprint. You're going to go, that field right outside of regiment. I forget what they call it.
It's not there anymore, but yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, but I forget the name of it.
Okay.
Too. But
so we line up.
Yeah.
We line up. I'm like, I got this. I'm like the fastest dude in class. They're no problem. What I didn't think about is the dude hit me in the side of the face.
Oh, no.
So, and right before we started running, the instructor's like, "Hey, no rules. Whoever gets to the finish line, we're taking 8. So I'm like, I got this. I'm faster than everybody. Man, I think I took 2 steps, got hit in the face, fell down. And I woke up and I'm looking around. And I'm like, did I make it? And everybody's just laughing at me. I'm like, what are you laughing at? And they're like, no, man, you got knocked out.
You got knocked the fuck out.
Yeah. Dude, I'm like, are you kidding me? So, I got put on worldwide assignment, whatever, which wasn't a bad thing. I got assigned to 3rd of 325 in Italy.
Italy, yeah, that's cool. I mean, it could be worse places, man. You could,
yeah.
It's not like they said.
Looking back, it's like, man, that's all I wanted to do to start. But I got to go to Europe, and it was actually a pretty cool time. I mean, we went to Bosnia, we went to Sierra Leone, Africa.
Yeah, wow.
As an E3, and so it was pretty cool. And then nothing really happened. We did just, kind of like base camp security at embassy, stuff like that.
Sure.
And then about, I don't know, maybe a year before, maybe 6 months before I'm getting ready to get out, I'm like, or, either re-enlist or get out. I'm like, what, I'm just going to get out and go to college. And I laugh because everybody says that.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting out and flew back home, like, started signing up for, community college, and went to be a waiter. And I'm like, you know what? This sucks. Man. I need to get back in the Army, man, where it's safe. I just couldn't deal with people, It's like,
yeah.
Going from being a infantry, I was, when I got out the first time, I was a 60 team leader, so I'd been an AG, AB, freaking all that.
Sure.
And so I got out, freaking 6 months, I was back in.
No, but it is. It's tough. It's tough having to take shit when you're like, I could stomp all over you, and I can't do that, right? Because that's not the civil thing to do. And you're a waiter, so now you're really having to take shit for people's food that's undercooked or something. I mean, I get it. And that's what a lot of guys do. They get out and they say, yeah, exactly. I'm going to go to college. And then they realize, nah, I can't take this shit or I'm going to lose it. And they go back in. And I mean, what do you think? 50% of the guys that say they're going to go to college end up back in, or you think that's even higher?
Oh, yeah, it's got to be higher than that.
Yeah, it's
the other 50% learn how to weld.
I know.
You know what I mean? And they're actually making millions of dollars in 10 years. You know,
so when you go back in, that's, if I have it correctly, that's a little bit prior to 9/11, right? And then that's when you really see some action.
Well, so I got out. I went in 93. I got out in 97.
Okay.
Went right back in 97. And I went to the recruiter. I said, you send me to anywhere airborne and Ranger. Like, I got to go to Ranger school.
Yeah.
So he's like, go to 101st. They got an airborne unit. You know, and I'm like, 101st ain't airborne.
No.
So, but he's like, you can go now or you can wait 6 months. And I was like, all right, send me to 101st. So when I get to 101st, I started driving around. I saw a sign. It was a Lurch D sign. Had the Ranger scroll.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I just pulled over. I went in, talked to the first sergeant. I'm like, hey, here are my orders. I want to be in the unit. And he's like, bro, you're on 30-day. What do they call that?
Where you're
basically, you know, you sign up and then 30 days you report.
Yeah,
That's what they call it.
It's not replacement because that's where you go to your replacement.
Yeah.
In processing, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah, because you don't have to go through, but you only 6 months. You don't have to do basic training again. You can go right to your unit, and you're on 30-day hold, not 30-day hold, 30-day. Is that what it is? 30-day hold for your orders? I don't know. I basically you're waiting 30 fucking days because you got to report your unit within 30 days. But until then, you have no commander. You can't do shit. You're kind of in limbo, more or less. Yeah.
So the first sergeant's like, well, you got 30 days. I mean, you can, if you want to do your selection, because Lurch had a selection, kind of like Rip.
Yep.
He's like, if you want to do it now, then when you go to a replacement and sign in and all that, you'll be good to go. I'm like, hell yeah, let me do that. I'll work for 30 days for free. I don't care.
That's awesome.
So basically, I go all the way back through Rip again. It's the same 30 days. They smoked my balls. It was... I mean, I enjoyed it. I just kind of like that kind of thing. And then after that, they first sergeant's like, all right, man, we select you, but you got to go through a replacement and, sign in to 101st. So I go through replacement, sign in, and then they give me orders to like the 50 Deuce.
Oh,
I'm like, whoa.
That was not what you promised me. That was not the fine print.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Luckily, about an hour later, first sergeant shows up with one of the team leaders, and their berets and everything. They're like, no, he's coming to us. And
that's cool.
So they brought me in and, I was a little bit older too. I was, 2 years of college and then 4 years in the infantry and got there. I was still in E4. So yeah, I just, so the first sergeant and one of the team leaders showed up, brought me into the unit, and they put me on a team, and then it was like being a private again. You know what I mean? Like, and they just started training me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was cool. And within 6 months, I got a pre-ranger date. Went to pre-ranger, went straight to ranger school. Came back. I went straight through, thank God. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're like, man, please don't recycle. Nothing, don't. And I remember every day, like, man, just pass my phases, man, pass my leadership, man. Please get a primary and a secondary. And if you got that early at Ranger School, you get your goes early. I mean, it still sucks, but it's like so much stress is just off you for that phase until you get to the next phase. I remember that, man. I still remember that vividly, getting when I got my primary and secondary goes at those phases, because I could just I mean, it sucked because you're still not sleeping and eating, but you're like, okay, I'm gonna make it to the next phase as long as I don't
Right.
fall off this mountain, get bit by a snake, or fucking just do something stupid and step on my dick. Just yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I got all the way to Florida, and I was actually, because I had 4 years in the infantry, and
Sure.
then I had about 6 to 8 months in LURS. So all the guys kept asking me to be team leader for them,
Court.
you know, and I did team leader every single patrol.
Wow. Yeah, that's
And then I
tough.
get to Florida, and if there's like 2 patrols left, I'm like, holy shit, I haven't had a primary yet. I'm like, oh man. So the instructor comes in, he's like, Lang, here's your primary. You're gonna be the platoon sergeant. I'm like, really? Platoon sergeant? That's the primary? That's kind of seems like an easy primary. So then I'm thinking they're just trying to screw me over. Like I'm going back to day one or something, you know. So I do the platoon sergeant, and as we're clearing off the objective, you go back through your ORP, and this guy comes walking by, and I go to touch him, and he's got no gun.
Oh shit.
I'm like,
Oh, no.
no, this is not happening. So I asked the guy, I'm like, where's your gun? He's like, oh, I gave it to the armor. I'm like, what do you mean gave it to the armor? There's no armor out here. He's like, yeah, he's right back there. So here's the last dude. I just ran through the woods, and there's this tree with
Oh,
2 freaking sticks sticking out, and the gun is laying on top of it.
he thought that was the armor. That's even better than Nick Irving's story, man. I think that might even be right up there. That's
Yeah, I didn't get right
crazy.
away that that it was a hallucination thing.
Yeah, and he's like, no, I had a whole full conversation with the armor. He told me, we'll clean your gun when you get back.
Oh man, that's nuts. Ranger
I
school
get the
just
guns.
nuts.
The instructors never knew about it. Like, I was told everybody in the battle, I'm like, do not say nothing. Like, this is it. So I got my go, and whoo, that feeling.
Oh yeah, yeah, that relief when you're finally get to brought in there and they tell you you're good to go when they go to their packet. And yeah, I still remember mine vividly. But so you get to Ranger School, you graduate, you go back to your LURS unit. Now is that when you started to look at please forgive me, but and for all you SF guys out there, what are the 2 groups that are at Fort Campbell? There's 2 of them, right? Is that
No, there's one group at Fort Campbell. It's
okay?
5th group.
5th group. Okay.
And then there used to be 2. There was 7th group and 3rd group at Bragg.
That's okay. And
Yeah.
first group, I know that's out in Washington because that's where I was at. But I not with first group, just when I was a second ranger. But is that when you got back? Is that when you started to look at going through selection?
Well, I did about 3 more years in LURS. I just loved it. I probably would have retired out of LURS in the infantry if, but when I had a first sergeant, he was like, man, you're not going to stay in LURS. You're going to end up going back to the line. And after you've been in LURS, you're kind of like spoiled. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's like, man, there's like 4 first sergeant jobs, and they're E7s. So only 4 E7s are going to get a LURS unit. He's like, you need to go to selection, do it. So what he did, he hooked me up. He got me direct assignment to Corps LURS, 18th Airborne Corps at Bragg.
Sure. Yeah.
So I could move my family there. I really only did 6 months at 18 Airborne Corps, and then put my packet in for selection.
And then how'd that go, man? I mean, got through any hiccups at all? Just normal suck fest. You got to get through it.
Yeah, just a normal suck fest. I knew that's what I wanted to do. I wasn't quitting for nothing,
Yeah.
So I got selected, went back to Corps LURS, which right down the street, which was nice. So I cleared and then headed over the Q course, and I got 18 Echo, which was communications.
That's awesome. So you are smarter than what you say you are then. Yeah, you're a pretty intelligent guy.
Well, I've been doing HF comms for 4 or 5 years in LURS. That's why they picked me.
That's how he's going over. So when 9/11 hit, where were you at? What were you doing?
I was in language school.
Oh, no shit. Wow.
In the Q course. Q course is done. I had language school and then SEER school after that. And what's funny is I was learning Russian and I was supposed to go to 10th group. And I started asking instructors, because I knew 5th group being at Fort Campbell. I was like, I want to go to 5th group. They're going to war.
Yeah.
10th group did too. I just, I didn't know that they'd be pulling into. So I had a guy in the class who did not want to go to war. So we were able to switch our assignments. And so I went to 5th group with a Russian language.
It worked out. I mean,
and then
I
learned Arabic when I got there.
Damn, I never could pick up Arabic. See, again, it's just intelligent individual. And you get there. Where's your first duty station when you went in the sandbox? Did you head to Iraq? Did you go to Afghanistan first? What was your push?
So I got to 5th group about 9 months before the invasion.
Okay.
Of Iraq.
Yep.
So they had already gone to Afghanistan and come back, and then they were prepping for Iraq. So I got to do the invasion of Iraq with 5th group, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah. Tell me, what story? Is there an op or maybe even a couple ops? Because we got time for a couple that just stick with you, whether good or bad or indifferent, that just seared into your brain.
Yeah, so definitely the invasion. We went up to the border. We were given the town of Diwania, which is south of Baghdad. So basically, our mission statement was literally get to Diwania and figure it out. You know what I mean? There's no mission statement there. There's get in your trucks and go. So we waited for the big army to bust a hole in the berm. And then, the shock and awe was going on.
Sure.
And we followed some Bradleys and some M1s for a couple hours, just to kind of fit in with them. And then we snaked off into the desert and took our own route to get to Diwania. And that was an eye opener for me. That was my first combat, role. And I was an E6, the youngest guy on the team. Never seen real combat.
Sure.
So yeah, just rolling through the desert, freaking 4 Humvees and 10 other dudes. It was kind of like, man, this is kind of crazy.
But it's cool. I mean, you got, because I can picture you thinking. I can picture myself even thinking and just going. It's surreal almost. Like, this is holy shit. This is freaking awesome. This is like This is Three Kings shit. This is Ice Cube and fucking Marky Mark out here in the in the desert. I mean, now were you rolling around all day and all night? Because the night times out there especially when you got the nods, are just incredible. It's just it's like you're in a planetarium. I mean, you're in I keep thinking like the Henry Doily Zoo where they have the desert dome. You're like in a controlled,
ridiculous. There's no light. We rolled at night, and then we did patrol bases during the day. Broke down and kept moving on. Just find a wadi that we could stick all 3 trucks in and hide out. We were pretty lucky. We had cast the whole time.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome.
So like even when we were held up in a wadi, we always knew them birds were up there calling in if something's moving and stuff. But we bumped into nobody all the way up.
Wow.
And then we got there and we linked up with some agency guys who had already picked out like 10 guys that were trusted. And they gave them to us, and then that dude took off. He's like, I'm going somewhere else, do something else. We're like, all right. And then we trained them dudes. And you know what we did? Like, so all the big army units just bypassed all the big cities.
Okay.
And they left it to, SEALs, Rangers, all the special ops guys to take care of stuff. And so we taught these guys how to use GPSs, and we had them go into town and just take GPS grids of all the bath party buildings.
Sure, yeah.
They came back next night. We did a freaking massive freaking airstrike.
Wow.
And we rolled in to Diwania 2 days later, cheering people freaking happy, no fight, nothing. It was wild. I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
You know, and then that only lasted for about a week.
It does. And then it turned when it
Then it
turned
turned out,
on. Yeah, it turned out, and then you guys were. I mean, because you really were the tip of the spear. I mean, you were out front doing the surveillance, doing the counter surveillance, doing the targeting more or less. Because the targeters, the agency targeters, I don't think they had a ton of them at that time. And
yeah.
yeah, when you was there any time where you just almost overwhelmed? We're like, man, this what the hell? When it turned, when it turned and went south quick, that maybe not that you didn't think you were going to make it or anything like that, but it's just like, man, I don't think we have the skill set, or maybe there's just too much for us to do. Because you were at a time when it was you guys were spread really thin, man.
Yeah, really thin, no equipment, no up
None,
armored
none.
vehicles, none of that. You know, it's just like soft skin vehicles, and even our body armor sucked then. You know what I mean?
It
I
did.
remember getting issued this desert body armor, and you know the Molly weave?
Yep.
They were backwards, they were sideways. And we're like, what are we gonna do with this? Like, so everybody's magazine, so we had to relearn how to do mag changes.
Because they were side.
It was a joke. We were doing like this dance when we were trying to change magazines because everybody would have to lean to get the magazine.
I didn't know. I didn't get any of that old body. I didn't know that, man. Holy shit, that's fun. I mean, but it's funny. But that's when you get people that aren't actually doing the ops, being the purchasing and the contractors, and
Yeah.
literally is the lowest bidder. And somebody that didn't know shit, and here are the guys on the ground. I'm sorry, but that's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
see.
You know, normally you're getting ready to change the magazine like this. Well, that you reach down, you're like, oh shit,
Oh shit.
gotta lean over.
I know, but we're laughing now, but I can just imagine if you had to in the thick of it going just I
Yeah.
mean literally just you're laughing because it's so fucking ludicrous, but
It is.
it's not, but it is. You have to laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there was a time like we picked this medical facility because one of the doctors was going to be a guy that we had to take care of, secure him, and then we had to take him to Baghdad later because he was kind of in the running for prime minister or something like that. So he gave us this compound, we used it, and I mean, it must have been like 4 weeks later, we had probably 3,000 people outside the gate, like freaking out, yelling at us, throwing shit at us, you know, and there's 10 of us.
Yeah.
We're like, man, if they freaking get through that gate, we're freaking done. You know what I mean? But, you know, I had some great leaders, my team sergeant at the time and my captain. They were so smart. You know, they'd been to Afghanistan already. They were in Somalia.
Wow.
Man, I don't even know what they did at the time. You know, I was the nug on the corner of the freaking building, like, don't come this way because I'm gonna shoot you. You know what I mean? But you know, they speak in Arabic to these people, like they made everybody calm down and chill. And I don't know, I'm sure they gave them some money or whatever.
That's always worked. Give them a little money, at least quells them for a few days, and then
Yeah.
then it kicks up again.
Hey guys, hope you're enjoying this episode with Andy Lang. Before we continue, Fort Scott Munitions is a manufacturer of multi-federal patented solid copper and brass CNC spun ammo that is designed to tumble upon impact. Their trademarked TUI in soft tissue, leaving devastating wound channels for faster bleed out and quicker incapacitation. They've been with us since the very beginning. You guys got to check them out. I should also mention the range ammo. You did some great spots for them on YouTube. Speaking about the range ammo, Fort Scott Munitions is available in all 50 states, but you'll get the best deal through us when you go to fsm.com and use the promo code BATTLEWINE at checkout. They'll give you a 15% discount just for being a listener of Battleline Podcast. That's fsm.com. Use the promo code BATTLEWINE for 15% off. Fort Scott Munitions is a proud supporter of Chris Peranto, Battleline Tactical, and the Battleline Podcast. fsm.com. Promo code BATTLEWINE. We also have a great new fragrance sponsor. And if you're on YouTube, you see what I'm sliding out there. This is absolutely awesome when you're on the go. especially if you're going to the gym, for example, you just want to keep a small bottle of cologne with you. Or if you're traveling and you can't have a big bottle, going through the TSA. I know you have a personal favorite,
Yeah.
the Windsor fragrance now.
Ocean Profound is what it says. And no, it's after the range too, guys. Where I took it to the range after I got done shooting, teaching a couple weeks ago in Fort Worth. Sprayed a little bit on before we went to dinner, and it does. It's really good fragrances in there. And you're gonna be one in that sample box that you're gonna find that you like. And then once you do, if you want to just stay with that one, or you can go on their website and pick it up. But no, great packaging, great fragrances in there, and it really is travel easy. And because I do travel with it, it's outstanding stuff. But that Ocean Profound, I don't know, that is my favorite. I'll be quite honest with you, that's the best.
That's right. So check out Elinzor. That's ELANSOR.com. And they actually just gave us a promo code. This is awesome. You're going to get 20% off your order through us when you use our promo code Battleline. One word, the show name, Battleline. That's Elinzor.com, ELANSOR.com. Promo code Battleline for 20% off your order. Embrace every moment with distinction with Elinzor. With that, let's get right back to our interview with Andy Lang.
Yeah, man, you're getting through all that, and how many years did you end up doing? And did you bounce up to any of the other groups? And was there anything, I don't want to say clandestine because you can't really talk about it, but was there anything out of the ordinary than just the two sandboxes that you went to and you got that stick out in your memory as well? And we're leading to this. We're leading to
of
the
course,
whiskey.
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe
So,
even
yeah.
you're thinking about this. Is this on your mind that doing the whiskey and distillery? Are you thinking of the future?
So I did 7 tours to Iraq,
Wow.
and
That's a lot.
then 3 to Afghanistan. I did 26 years total, 19 of them in group. And yeah, we got to do some pretty cool stuff, especially towards the end of I would say my last tour in Afghanistan. Couple cool things. I re-linked up with one of my interpreters that we had on our past 2 trips.
That's cool.
We ended up getting him all his paperwork, get him back to the States. The dude's got a contracting company in Nashville. It's got more money than all of us. You know what I mean? It's like,
Wow.
but because he's awesome, and he's just
Yeah.
a great dude, and the work ethic, and but yeah, I mean, we did a 3-day mission in Afghanistan, which was awesome. Towards the end, the Taliban pulled away from all the big cities because they knew what our medevac bubble was.
Gotcha.
Right? So they stayed outside of it. So we came up with a plan. We loaded up a freaking surgical team in a C-130. We got Apaches. We got a couple platoons from the 82nd to pull security for them. And then we all flew up to the Kunduz in Afghanistan. And we raided this area that had no idea we were coming. And it was a 4-day gunfight. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And it was no shit. We were medevacing dudes all over the place. Like, we were calling in CAS. And it was at a time when everything was kind of like almost done. Everybody sticks to their camp and like goes out and talks to people and then comes back.
What year was that? Can you say? Do you remember?
That was 2014.
Oh wow.
No, 2016.
Wow. So it was toward, I mean, yeah, really.
Yeah, that was my last year in the Army. And it was just awesome. I mean, 4 days of running and gunning, and we had the commandos, so it was like we had an ODA with 150 commandos, which are awesome.
They're awesome.
Good trained dudes. Dude, and they just wreak havoc, They're like a Ranger battalion.
But
Go smash.
I got a picture of where I'm sitting. We're trained when I was at the agency. We take them, and we had the little facility within the airfield there at Kabul Airfield, and they'd come in and we'd train them up. And they're awesome. I mean, and I've got another one where we've got our freaking technicals, and they're sitting on where we're down south at Gecko Base, were with them down there, and they're badasses, dude, and they are. And after that, in 2016, I mean, because that's 8 years later than when last time I spent time with them. I can't imagine that they are. I can how good they are now, but that's what kills me is how did they? Because they are that good. What then? I guess I want your opinion. What happened, man? I know the withdrawal was it was a clusterfuck. It was Biden and all. They fucked that whole thing up. Millie, complete shit show. But those commandos were pretty badass, man. What's your opinion on it, bro? I mean,
So
on what happened?
so I still get calls from guys, and having my interpreter Masood here
Sure.
in town, he gets calls and he always calls me. And when that debacle was happening, my buddy Masood came over to the house. We were sitting there. We bought a couple burner phones.
Sure.
And we just started getting home. We were talking to oh man, my brain. Masood, the Masood. Oh man, I wish my brain wouldn't quit on me sometimes. Anyway, he was upholding the resistance up in the north with all the commandos that had gotten pushed out of their base camps and stuff.
Okay.
And they were just calling. They were like Masood, like what? Like we need help. What can you get us? What can you do? And it sucked. We had to tell them, man, dude, our government just doesn't give a shit about you.
That's the truth. You got on the truth.
We did do a few things for them. There were some nonprofits moving things around.
Sure.
I'll just leave it at that.
No, I'm familiar. We had a CIA targeter that was on, and yeah, she was part of those. Yeah, familiar. We don't say the names, but we're familiar. Yeah.
But we
Do we
got
have to
them.
beep out her name?
No. She wasn't
Okay.
in it. She just knows offline.
Gotcha.
Man. We're cool. Yeah, we don't need to beep out her name.
So we helped them the best we could, and we just him and I keep those burner phones plugged in, just in case. And actually last year I got a call from one of the sergeant majors in our group, and they're like, "Hey man, we need any contacts for sources or anybody in Afghanistan." And my first thought is, hold on a second. We did this for 20 years. We had hard drives of contacts and reporting. Where did all that go?
Yeah.
And they're like, we had to turn that into DIA, and we don't know where that stuff went. So, I actually opted, my buddy Masood opted not to give them that contact information.
Yeah.
Just because we didn't trust anyone. And I told him, I said, hey man, if we hear from them again, if he reaches out, I'll let you know, and I can pass information, but they don't want their number given to you.
Do you think they were, and I've heard stories about this. Again, I'm third party. I've been out of the game for a long time, dude. You're in it longer. You stayed in it, an extra 6 years after I got out of it all. Do you think those people that could say what had happened, that could put, guys like Millie and put the Biden, put them in prison for the things? Do you think they were eliminating them? Do you think they were giving them the Taliban the information? The third party.
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
I honestly believe that that's what was going on. That's why a lot of those guys were, it's not that we weren't helping them, and hey, culpable deniability, right? We're not killing them, but
right.
Here's the info, guys.
So during all this, my buddy Masood's family is there, and we're working to try and get them out.
Okay.
We had two good friends that used to be in group that were in the, on the dark side, I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
And they were on the ground, and one of them called and said, hey, do you have anyone here? I said, yes, we've got a family. Can you get them? They went out into town, got his family, brought him back, put him on a plane.
Wow. That's awesome.
So while that's happening, and those dudes were not supposed to be doing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they did it anyway. Gives me goosebumps, man. You know, just
that's awesome. No,
that's how dudes roll. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think I got some questions from different people that are good people, but are still in and would have had to send that information to somebody else. And I just wasn't going to do it. You know what I mean?
Smart thing.
Because, we don't trust any of these.
Oh, yeah, and you don't, not especially. No, I never try. I mean, come on, they left us. I mean, government left us.
Yeah, you of all people know better than any of us.
But that's why I'm saying, like, and people that's where I've talked to people and friends of mine, like, same friends, probably some of them probably same friends where I heard those same things. Were like, we gave all the information thinking that they were going to go get those people out, and it just disappeared. And then I never heard from those our interpreters. I never heard from them again. And I know I was born last night, but I wasn't born last fucking night. We're starting to put the pieces together. It's like, holy shit, they're feeding the info to the Taliban, so the people that can say that this was a shit show can no longer say it's a shit show because they're dead or they're in prison or the Taliban's got them. And that was horse shit, man. And I
thought we've been at this point right now, right?
Yeah.
All the shit we did, and I don't want to go way back, but even Iraq, we all know that's fucking bullshit now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But whatever, we're warriors. We just want to smash shit.
No, I tell you, I had a talk with my buddy Rob, and I said the same. He said the same thing. He's like, man, what do we do it for? I'm like, you know what? We know that Iraq. We went into Iraq because Bush was pissed off because Saddam wanted to kill his dad. It was a pissing match and whatever. But I said, you know what? I'd do it again because I got to be with you. I got to be with you, dude. You got to be with me. I got to be with that. We do it again, and
we got tested, right?
Yeah,
like the fighting force we have now. Nobody can fuck with us.
Yeah, and hopefully I hope those numbers get back where they have problems, where they have to do what they did with you at RIP, because that's what I was telling Ian. They used to do that because we were so full of guys that they couldn't take all of them. Now they're scraping to get anybody in because they don't have the numbers. But maybe they get back to where they smack you in the face again. Who's going? Man, so just catch you in the face. Well,
I wanted to get into, and you're actually exactly where I want to go. Yeah. I know from your biography, just online, from Leatherworks Distillery, the idea really started in Kuwait. So I would love to hear that story of how the idea sparked and then how you got this thing off the ground, because it really is amazing. I always say it all the time in terms of everything, that like everybody has ideas. So many guys I talk to, I should write a book, I should start a brewery, whatever it is. 90% of them tap out. They don't actually follow through. I think for you to do what you did all these years later, to have a successful business, it really means something. And I'm sure there's people listening that'll be inspired. So you'd love to hear the origin story for Leatherworks Distillery.
Yeah. So it's funny, like the Kuwait side. And then when I actually decided to do a distillery, that's 19 or 20 years apart.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
So when we were sitting on the border of Iraq and Kuwait, again, I'm the brand new guy on the team, and I think I'm a badass, and I'm talking shit to everybody on the team because you have to, you can't show weakness. So we're sitting around a fire pit, and all the guys on the team know that I make beer and wine and stuff because they've had it.
Well, can I just ask, when did that start? I mean, when did just making it on your own start?
Like probably 5 years before we were in Kuwait, I started making beer and wine at home. Just something I wanted to try. And so we're sitting there and I'm talking shit and I'm like, man, I can make booze out of pretty much anything. And my team sergeant looks at me and he picks up an MR and he throws it at me. And he goes, put up or shut up. And I'm like, well, I mean, and he goes, no, you said it. Put up or shut up. So I'm like, okay. So I thought about it for a little bit and I'm like, okay, we got Skittles in the MRE. That's sugar. I said, we got this shelf-stable bread. There's got to be some yeast still
Yeast
in there.
Yeah.
That's all you need: yeast, sugar, and water. So put a pan on the fire, and I went and rat fucked a whole bunch of MREs to get as many Skittle packs as I could. Put them all in there, and it melted. It turned into a big sugar water. And then I put it in water bottles, and once it cooled down, I crumpled up the bread in the MRE and sprinkled it in there. And then I took surgical tubing because you need an airlock for wine, right? You can't have oxygen go into the yeast. Okay. So put surgical tube over that bottle and put it into another water bottle full of water. So it acted like an airlock.
Cool.
Right? So it would like the CO2 would come out of the wine that's fermenting, and the bubbles would go across the surgical tube into the water and then bubble out. Right. So I make like 8 cases of this shit. Right. I'm like, if we're making this shit, we're getting fucked up while we're sitting here. Even though we'll all go to jail if we get caught for it. So about a week later, because we were there for like 2 months. About a week later, we popped one open and it tasted like crap. Right? Sure. It was the worst. It literally tasted like fermented Skittle oil. I don't know. It was horrible. But there was so much alcohol in it, like everybody got fucked up. Like, a couple dudes woke up next to the fire pit the next morning, like other dudes in the wrong bunks in the tent. And we all get together, Team Star gets us together, and he's like, yeah, we're not going to do that again.
Like hallucinogen, you're fucking make Skittle peyote, dude.
There might have been something else in there. Who knows, man? Everybody was like, went out. So here's another funny thing. Like 2 days later, when the alarm goes off, they're like, we're fucking going. We're crossing the border. We still have like 6 cases of this wine fermenting. So everybody's loading up guns and ammo and doing commo shit. And I'm grabbing these cases of freaking wine. And I'm like, where are these going? And he was like, what? I was like, put them in the freaking truck. So we just put them in the truck and left them there, forgot about it. After we're done, 9 months later, we're driving back to Kuwait. Somebody's sitting on these cases. There was like a rucksack or something on it. And he lifts the rucksack up and he gets on the radio and goes, we got wine, bitches. And it was actually pretty good at that point. So there's something to say for aging it.
So that's it. You got to let it age. So you got to age the Skittle wine. That's what you're saying.
Man, I wish we would have kept a bottle because
cool.
Just the history of it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Just the origin story. Yeah. So nearly 20 years later, how does it become Leatherwood Distillery and a legitimate business?
So I really wish I had this badass story that I was like, I'm going to make whiskey. I'm going to open a distillery. I want to open a business, but I'm getting ready to retire. And a bunch of buddies of mine who are already retired is like, Andy, you got to have a purpose. Got to have something to do.
Okay, sure.
And I'm like, yeah, man, I'm going to go work for SOC. I'm going to go work for GRS, whoever, do the same shit that I'm doing now. And they're like, no. We want to keep you around. Like, we've been drinking your booze forever. Let's open a distillery. I'm like, I don't think you can just open a distillery, well, evidently they'll give a license to anybody because it was not like I breezed through the application process, got the license, and I didn't even have a place yet.
Wow.
I'm like, holy shit. So I called a bunch of buddies and I'm like, here's the deal. I got my license. I can open a distillery. I need $100,000. And my buddies are like, you're going to open a distillery with $100,000? There's no way. I'm like, I can do it. They're like, okay. So I had 4 buddies. They all pitched in $25,000. I bought the equipment I needed. And of course I'm doing the fucking SF shit. Like I'm using like water totes to ferment in, I'm using like hand pumps to move the shit. Like, you know what I mean? And one of my buddies is like, bro, I told you, man, we could have raised more money. I'm like, no, this is actually cool. Like, this is the way we made it.
Yeah.
At home, So I started with $100,000 and we just like slowly just kept going. And then, it took, so our feature right now is our bourbon, the Snake Eater that you got.
Yep.
That's our classic. That is obviously my favorite bourbon, but it's super smooth. Like you'd never know it was 85 proof.
I brought the rye. This is one I got the rye, and the reason I got because I like the. I mean, I grabbed it, but this because it catches my eye first because of the green but I got the rye, but I got the other three at the house. I just couldn't come to my studio, carrying all my.
He hooked you up, man.
But no, but yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to let you know which bottle I have on me.
Yeah, no. So it's what we're doing now is really focusing on the bourbon, the rye whiskey, a Tennessee straight whiskey, all the age stuff. But when I started, I didn't, you got to put it in a barrel for 3-4 years. So what I did since I made that Skittles wine, I was like, sugar, wine, water. Oh, it's rum. It's actually a rum. So I started out making rum first 3 years. And I made different flavors of rum. I think I sent you one or two flavors. I'm not sure.
Like an apple pie or an apple. Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an apple pie.
So the apple pies are rum. And then we add apple juice and a cinnamon stick to the bottle. So I sold flavored rums for 3.5 years before I ever tapped a barrel and bottled the Snake Eater.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I am so lucky because I've never put anything before I opened the distillery. I never put anything in a barrel. I didn't have money to put shit in a barrel. Right. So year 3.5, it's like all the partners and a whole bunch of customers are all sitting there. We tap into a barrel and I'm just praying. I'm like, oh God, please be good. Please be good. Please be good. So we pulled a bunch out, passed it around. Everybody tasted it. And I'm eyeballing people like, don't make the face. Don't make the face. And you know what? Everybody loved it. And it just turned out to be a really good bourbon. Super smooth. And so that's what we're like really focusing on now.
And by the way, I should say, I said earlier in the interview when we started that there are a lot of people in the veteran space who are in the alcohol industry, but I don't think there are many doing quite as much as you do and also have the experience of you because like bourbons, ryes, whiskey, rums, moonshines, you do it all. A lot of people, quite honestly, are just like going with an outside company, sticking their name on the bottle. That's it. You go through the process and waited years and years to actually put out a product. So, I mean, it's really respectable, I have to say. I mean, you have a skill that very few others in this space have.
I tell people all the time, I pick the worst business scenario possible. I wanted everything to be sold that I made. You know what I mean? I wanted to have, if I'm going to put my name on something, I want to make it. And I didn't want to buy stuff. But 6 years in, I'm looking at other people and I'm like, damn, like we could have done a lot better if we had financially, you know what I'm saying?
But I being somebody that doesn't make it, and we have a master distiller, Ben my Ranger buddy Ben, who does the vodka with me, and we've actually got a tequila or an agave since it's made here, and a whiskey coming out. I do want to say, at least from the perspective of what you're doing and what the difference with me not having that control is, I would rather be quite honest, be in your shoes where I did have the control. I mean, yeah, maybe we do have some outside funding, but it sucks not having control because the shit, and especially, I don't know if you've seen this, but in the alcohol business, especially when you're dealing with different distributors with different states, it always goes fucking sideways with the more hands in it. And if I just tell, man, I wish we made our own because then we'd have control of what's going on, not with the sales guys, not with this other sales guy that the distiller just hired. So I admire.
No, you're right. I mean, 100%. I am blessed. I love where I'm at. In fact, a year and a half ago, I had 5 partners, and a year and a half ago, one of my friends brought this guy by. He's like, hey, he wants to meet you. He loves bourbon. And we sat down and talked, and he loved the story. He's a veteran, 20 years. And he told me, he's like, I want to own a distillery.
Okay.
And I was like, he's like, you want to be a partner? I said, man, I got 5 partners I really don't want. You know what I mean? Not because they're bad, they're great.
It's just,
but they're still partners.
Yeah.
Right. I'm like, he goes, well, how about I buy them out and I put some operating cash into the business and I help you market it and this and that. I'm like, dude, I opened my freaking QuickBooks up and showed it to him. And he closed the laptop and he goes, Andy, that's not how you negotiate. I said, brother, listen, if you like my bourbon, you want to be my partner, I want you to know everything. Yeah. Like, this is what we got. If you're in, you're in. So he bought out my partners. His name's Joe Maynard. Awesome dude, 20-year veteran. Cool. He was a Spec 6.
A Spec 6? So was he? He's from what's that? Korea? I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, he was a Spec 6 in Germany, and so he's in the nuke field.
So I didn't know that. That's like what Oppenheimer. I mean, was that when he was during the Oppenheimer?
No, no, he's
Spec 6. I haven't heard of that since I read about it in books.
I didn't either. I thought he was bullshitting me. Evidently, they had Spec 6s until like 15, 20 years ago.
Wow, I didn't know that. I thought
but it's all in like the technical field.
Gotcha.
But he retired E7. Opened up his own business called Echo Power and crushed it. Like,
cool.
I don't know all the details because I'm kind of a Ragnar and I don't, when he's talking about all the electrical shit, I'm like, oh, that sounds cool, but I don't know what you're talking about. But, they had contracts. They did backup power generators for nuke sites and stuff like that.
That's big money. Yeah, that's big money.
So he's my partner now, and he's been a blessing. Just really helped me out. And what's even more important is his business sense.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? Like when I got into this, I know how to make booze. I know how to market, just telling stories and stuff like that. But Whitney, he knows the numbers. He's got the numbers game down and how you do this, how you do that, and man, I've just been educated in the last year and a half. That's amazing.
And that's important in the alcohol, in any business, especially the alcohol business. I think that's one of our shortcomings is that Ben and I are right. We are Ragnars. We're both bad boys. The business side, the numbers game, and the honesty that is not seen by, just like what you said, you open up your computer and you're honest with them, and that's not how you negotiate. Well, bullshit. That's how we negotiate. That's how we are. But that's not the normal. And I'm finding that out the hard way in the alcohol business, that honesty, and I don't give a shit. We're still going to be honest, but it's usually one-sided. So having a guy like that is extremely important. And, I'm hoping that we get there one day where we have that business sense, that just honesty and good business sense will take you a long way if you have a great product like you have. So no, man, that is a blessing, because that's odd, especially in the alcohol world, that I'm finding out the hard way. I am.
Well, listen, man, like if, I've been doing this long enough. I have over every fucking grenade possible, so like offline, you want to talk, like,
I will.
I'm all about helping buddies out.
I appreciate that.
That's, if you've already hit the grenade or the landmine, you don't want to see your buddies hit the same one.
No, yeah. That's well said. I want to make sure that we, for sure, and I want to make sure that we hit this as well. That Leatherwood also has a racing team, and I thought that was pretty cool. So I'd love to hear the story behind that, because it's not just alcohol; you also have Leatherwood Racing.
So my partner Joe owns now he owns 2 NHRA Top Fuel
shit
dragsters.
That's cool.
So this whole year, that dragster was a Leatherwood sponsored dragster.
No shit.
And it brought us 8 new states distribution.
Nice.
Wow.
So it really worked. On top of that, Joe brought in a salesman Justin, who just crushes it every day. So when it comes to the race car, you can't just have you can't just sponsor. What I learned is you can't just sponsor a race car.
You can't just throw your
right?
you can't just throw your logo on the race car and it's gonna stay.
No. So Justin would when we have a race coming up in Las Vegas, he spent 8 months working with 5 distributors. We ended up narrowing it down to 1. And then we opened up Las Vegas on the day of the fucking NHRA championship out there.
Cool.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if anybody calls you and they're like, hey, you want to sponsor a freaking NASCAR? Tell them to go fuck off. You know what I mean? It's
will.
Millions of dollars. And without somebody chasing that race car around and calling the distributor and the stores and all that stuff that goes on, that does nothing for you. But again, I've been so lucky to have this team that Joe brought to Leatherwood. And I mean, dude, and when they actually opened up my books and his finance people started looking into it, he looked at me and he goes, Andy, you're a fucking idiot. He's like, this is not how you do it. I'm like, I don't know. I wrote
I make
bottles and I filled them and I sold them. They went out that way.
I make booze. I make blues and shoot people in the face. I mean, what am I supposed to? That's what you're here for. And the sales guy too. You're so spot on that too. Because the distilleries always expect me to be that guy running around chasing other guys. First of all, I don't do that. I'm not a sales guy. Second of all, wouldn't know how to do it. Third of all, I don't want to be chasing. I've done my time away from home chasing, and I've done the books. So I don't need to do this too. So you having sounded like you had that sales, what's his name, the sales guy you have, Justin. That is so freaking crucial to continue to keep that in people's faces, because Americans our memories, our short-term memories are extremely short. So you have to constantly put that in the face. You have to shelf talkers and, hey, do you remember us? And I don't do that. We don't do that. And so that's awesome,
man. It's a tough industry.
It is.
Right, Trent? Brand recognition is the hardest thing you can possibly do.
Yeah.
And the deal, there's 50,000 bourbons out there.
Yeah.
Even if you got the best one out there, if you're not selling it right, it doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, look at Smirnoff as a perfect example. That stuff's fucking garbage. You might as well drink rubbing alcohol, but their brand, I mean, they've been around forever, but their branding and marketing is off the chain. So they're huge. So it really does it. I mean, quality, I know bourbon's different with vodka. Vodka's vodka. It is. I mean, you can make it smoother. You can, but it still is, man. It is. It's
I'm with you.
But
I don't know alcohol like you guys do, because I don't even drink.
Well, I don't know bourbon like he does.
But you know what I was going to ask you? Which vodka is it that I've always heard notoriously they just kind of have like models out drinking it just for the brand recognition, where it's just
Absolutely.
like, is that really true? Like they just have hot women going around drinking it, and I mean that's the best brand recognition you could get.
And it's a cool bottle too. I ain't gonna lie, that freaking dusted, smoky bottle is.
You drink a half a bottle of that, your head's gonna hurt.
It is, and they're probably the most expensive vodka out there. I mean, they're I mean, for everyday vodka, but but like I said, whiskey's different though. I mean, because you really do have to put time into this. You do.
This is a passion. And honestly, I started this thing like, how we do when we get out of the Army. And I hate to get off on a tangent, but just freaking an hour before we get on this, one of my buddy's wives came in. She's like, hey, we want to do a reception. And I was like, for what? She's like, Bill killed himself.
Oh, man, I'm sorry.
He's gone. You know what I mean? But that goes back to the whole thing I was talking about. You got to have a purpose when you get out of the military, right?
Yeah.
And that's what this started as. This was my purpose. Get out, somewhere to be every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now I've got a place where, which kind of sucks, but all my buddies, like wives or whoever, like if something happens to them, they come and they want to do their reception here or whatever is going on. But again, it's those guys getting out of the Army, if you ain't got something you're going to do,
Yeah.
it's not going to work out, and that's what this was for me, and it worked.
That's
Since you brought it up, I mean, is that an issue for you that a lot of guys do get out and truthfully they get too into alcohol in terms of the alcoholism? You had a passion for alcoholism starting a business, but is there ever like a little bit of contradictory energy there that this is what you do for a living, this is what you love, it's your passion, but unfortunately there's guys who come home and they can't put the bottle down?
Yeah, no, for me, no, because I did it. Not only did I do it, but I'm around it 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So there's no excuse, right?
No.
To me, and I know it's a touchy subject, but if you need help, go get help.
And most veterans, that's how the ones that, like Ben and I are the same way. Is like, don't get mad at me. Put the shit down. And it comes down to self-responsibility. It comes down to self-control. And I get where Ian's coming from too. I mean, I
Sure.
get that argument, but from the
Yeah.
from the and maybe you differ than this, but from the areas we were in, it's, hey, motherfucker, if you can't handle your fucking booze, put that shit down. Go find some
Right.
help. And like we did, like I did, like you did. You're around it. Like this is
Yeah.
it's don't blame somebody else that you can't. And it is a touchy subject. Guys are going to hate me for saying that, but I went through where I drank too much. Ben, who's with me, Morgan,
I
he
did
went
too.
through where he drank too much, but we got our shit together and it was on us to do it. So I know it comes down to responsibility and accountability. That's what
And
we're
you know
helped.
what? I've got an amazing wife. Pretty cool story if you got time.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
So my wife's Jordanian. I met her on my last J set, which is,
Wow.
we went over to Jordan to train Jordanian SF guys. Met her. We're married now, 10 years later. Got a 6-year-old.
Wow.
She keeps me in check. You know what I mean? Which is so important for us because we're fucking, again, Neanderthals. And if you let us loose too much, we're just going to go over the top. That's what we do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's what she does. She keeps me in check and she gives me a talking to when I need it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I'll do the same thing if I just let it go. Obviously I own a bar. So if I could sit here all day, I would do it. But, I got responsibilities.
Yeah.
I got my son. I got things to do. So, and when I step over that edge, I got somebody that can put me in check. And it's so important.
It is.
You know what I mean? And the fact that she's Jordanian is pretty awesome.
She looked
She
like
gets yelling at me in Arabic, and I'm just like, oh, God, dude.
Dude.
I'm about to get blown up.
Man, I know she's not Jordanian. Well, she's Colombian and Lebanese, but a lot of those Jordanian women look like Shakira. Does she look like Shakira, man? When I worked over there, I was like, wow. I was like, dang.
She's a smoke show.
This is the cross between Colombian and Panamanian and freaking Lebanese. It's like J-Lo meets Shakira. It's like, wow. But that's good. She keeps you in check.
We need that.
We got to. And my wife does the same, and my kids do the same. And there's responsibilities, and
right.
and I'll put this out for if you are having alcohol problems, then go find some help. And that is my public service message for public service announcement, just like I did, just like Ben did, just like Andy did or does, or with his wife putting him in check. And it doesn't have to be the help where it's just going to be somebody saying, hey, dude, get your shit together, man.
Yeah. I'm on the board of directors for Brothers Keepers Veteran Foundation. And we help guys with that. So the point of that is there's so many places to get help. There's no reason why you have to fall into that abyss, right? Yeah. Brothers Keepers Veteran Foundation. You got Journey Home Project with, like there's just so many to reach out to and get help from. Like there's no excuse.
There's no excuse.
Yeah. The last question I had, unless Chris has anything else, I know that if people go online and they live in the area, they could get a tour of Leatherwood Distillery. What's that like for people who might be interested in checking out what you do?
Yeah, we have an awesome tasting room. In fact, since we're getting towards the end, I'm going to pull you guys out
Okay, go for it. Go for it. That'll be
You
cool to see
guys
this.
can
And if you're
see.
not on YouTube and you're just listening, get on YouTube so that you can see this visually.
So I'm upstairs in the office, but this is the tasting room, right? I mean, there's enough.
Oh, way
American.
down there. Yeah. Oh, dang, off
That's the bar.
Oh, cool.
That's Deja down there at the bar. Say hi.
Hi, Deja. How are you, man? How you
Right?
doing, ma'am?
We just
Yeah.
got it set up really cool. You
That's
see that flag right there with
yeah.
the
Yep.
square with the. Those are all pictures of all the guys that died in OEF, OIF, with a flag background. All the guys in fifth group that I was with, so it's just a cool place to come hang out with.
It looks like it is. It looks like our audience, anyone in our audience who's in the Tennessee area, in the Nashville area, they would really dig coming by, and we suggest you do.
It's like a rally point, is what it is. That's kind of what it
is,
is, man.
Man, it's a team house for sure.
That's
you know what
cool.
I mean? It's cool, and guys get to hang out. Guys do their retirement ceremonies here. We do hail and farewells for people at Fort Campbell. It's just really cool.
I never know if I'll be in Nashville, but like if I am, it would honestly be perfect to record an episode there. It would be really cool.
Dude, it'd be awesome, man.
Yeah. If
I'll
there's
tell
a
you
time we're
something
there,
funny.
it would be great because I have friends who live in Nashville, so Army veteran actually. Yes, yeah.
You don't even have to bring all your shit with you. So me and my distiller had a podcast for about 6 months.
I saw that. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is the story for many people, truthfully. I feel like after a few months, people are like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah.
Well, no, we wanted to, but it was taken away from the distillery.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah. You got to. You got to get to. It's where your strengths are, man. You got to. You got.
Yeah, we had to focus.
Yeah, and you have a business that needs 100% of your focus because it's growing so large. And I'm sure Joe, your partner's probably. I wouldn't doubt if he's beating that into you all the time. Like, dude.
Oh yeah,
focus, motherfucker. I need you to focus. We're not just making shit with tubes and a bottle in Kuwait anymore. We're making.
I'm like squirrel.
Man. But it's honestly it's honor to connect with you again, and thank you, man. And again, I realized like, man, I know Andrew Lake. How do I know him? Long time ago, but your story's amazing, and you're an inspiration, and you're right on the focus. We always have focus. We're in the military. We always have op orders. We have the daily grind. We have our bilats, our fixed. We're always the mission, and this is the end state. So when we leave and we lose that's when we lose ourselves. So having a focus like you have, something to look forward to going to every day, just to keep our heads in the game and our right and left limits, between our right and left limits, it helps keep people alive. I'm gonna put it in the same, but it helps keep veterans alive, and that's I always recommend. Do something with your life when you get out, and you've done it, man, and you've succeeded. And I know how hard it is to succeed, just in my little experience with the alcohol business, and you're doing awesome. So congratulations, bro.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. It means a lot.
And I'll stop by when I get to Nashville. I speak every once in Nashville. I was just there, a few months ago speaking at the Gaylords, and so I definitely will stop by if I'm in town.
When you recorded the Sean Ryan podcast, which is like 4 months, and this thing is still not up. When is this going to be up?
He may never put it up. Who knows?
I hope he does. Because what's funny? I saw on Twitter that he's like, he had some religious guy on. I don't know his background, but he was like, just recorded a show with Sean Ryan. It'll be up next week. And I'm like, why wasn't it this way for Tonto? Well, I'm just waiting for this thing to go up. But anyway, leatherwooddistillery.com, at Leatherwood Distillery on Instagram. And then leatherwooddistillery.com is where you can not only learn about the racing, but you could also book a tour of the distillery. And everything is available online. The moonshine, the rum, the bourbon. I'm trying to get it all. The rye.
The rye. Got it right here. The rye.
You can get it all on leatherwooddistillery.com. Support a veteran-owned business and truthfully support someone who really did it from the ground up.
Yeah.
I know that there's a million veteran-owned alcohol companies. Not many have a story like this. So we really want people who are listening to this to get out and support you. And it's been great having you on. And thank you to Jeremy, who works with Lee Greenwood, for the introduction, because we're proud to have you on, man.
I appreciate it, guys. And hey, I gotta tell you, I'm just just to be fucking on Tonto's freaking podcast, man.
Dude, are you kidding me?
I'm serious, man.
Yeah.
You're a fucking.
Are we losing you as you say you're a legend? That would have been a great way to end it, but I gotta end it there. Well, I will end it for him. He said you're a fucking legend.
That's just God saying, man, you don't need your head gassed up anymore, Tano. Dude, cut it. But Andrew, if you can hear us, Andy, man, thanks, brother. You're a man. You're the man. Appreciate it.
Perfect.
That's all for this episode of Battle Line Podcast. But we're always posting new content on social media. Follow us on Instagram at Battle Line Podcast and on Twitter at Battle Line Pod. That's an order. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes up every Tuesday. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or your podcast platform of choice. Believe in yourself. Face all challenges head on. And as always, never quit.